Welcome to Lifestyle Solopreneur, the community for entrepreneurs who put lifestyle first. Join your host Flavia Barris as she interviews successful lifestyle solopreneurs and shares ideas to help you find the perfect balance between lifestyle, business, and self. Flavia is an attorney, marketing expert, and founder of several online academies. She's been featured in major media including BBC World News, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Post, ESPN Television, and more. Join us for this episode of Lifestyle Solopreneur. Hey, Lifestyle Solopreneurs. Today, I'm so excited to introduce to you Kim Ades. She is the president and founder of Frame of Mind Coaching and JournalEngine software. She's recognized as an expert in the area of thought mastery and mental toughness. She uses her unique philosophy and quirky coaching style to help leaders identify their personal blind spots and shift their thinking in order to yield extraordinary results. Author, speaker, entrepreneur, coach, and mom of 5. Wow, 5 kids. Kim's claim to fame is teaching her powerful frame of mind coaching process to leaders, entrepreneurs, and influencers worldwide. She's been featured in a variety of online publications, including Forbes and Inc. magazine. She's spoken for organizations including Microsoft and SHRM. In addition to being interviewed on many top-ranking podcasts, Kim coaches leaders live on the Frame of Mind Coaching podcast that she hosts. Welcome to the show, Kim.
I have to say that was the absolute best version of my bio that I have ever heard. Thank you.
Well, thank you. No, I want to make sure to introduce you to everyone properly because you're
awesome.
coming here to share your wisdom with us, not only to kind of inspire all of us with your own journey, but also let's swap some ideas on how you stay sane in your business. I know that I like staying sane in my business. That's a big focus of the podcast. So I cannot wait for this conversation. I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
Let's go. I'm into it.
So Kim, first let's start by kind of framing for everyone what has led you here. So how did your business develop? And give us sort of your elevator pitch of who are you today? Who do you help? What is your job and how you would define your work look like today? And how did you get here?
So let's start with this. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I was born into an entrepreneurial family. It's in my DNA. And at this point, this is my third business. So what got me here? Prior to this, I used to own a software company and we used to build simulation-based assessment. And the purpose of those assessments was to help companies make better hiring decisions. So my mission was to figure out who's going to be the top performer, how to predict that. So we ended up testing really thousands upon thousands of people to try to figure out who's the best hire for any given role in any given industry at any given level in an organization. And one of the things that I discovered in my journey was that for every role, there was one factor that always stood out over and above every other factor to determine success or top performance. And that was if a person had a high degree of emotional resilience. So keep that in the back of your mind. When we talk about what is emotional resilience, it's really the ability to bounce back from adversity with speed and agility and leverage that adversity somehow. And so I ran that business for about 10 years. I ended up selling my shares. I got recruited by a coaching company here in Toronto. I was super excited because their mandate was to help people live extraordinary lives. That's what I wanted to do. But I only lasted 8-9 months. Why? Because I'm not really designed to work for others. It's not in my DNA. It's hard for me to work with other people's systems and structures. I needed that freedom, that call it white space, that space to create and do my own thing. But also I looked at how they coached and I felt like they were doing it wrong. And that's when I decided to start my own coaching company. That's what I did. I started Frame Mind Coaching and I used a different philosophy, a different approach, a different way of coaching compared to what I had been observing at that company that I was with.
What a journey. And what does your typical day look like right now? So what does a coach who works in your type of business day to day, what fills your daily planner?
So I don't know that I'm a typical coach. So I'll tell you what fills my daily planner. For years and years, I spent most of my days coaching people. I don't do that much anymore. I coach a handful of people now. Most of the people who come through my doors get assigned to one of my coaches. So first of all, I just want to say, I don't think of myself as owning a coaching practice. I think of myself as owning a coaching business. So I have a team of coaches and we certify people in what we call the frame of mind coaching method. So my job is to build the business. So what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? Well, I'm doing presentations, I'm doing podcasts, I'm speaking with potential clients, I'm thinking of ways to grow, I'm discussing partnership ideas, growth ideas with whoever, and I'm building up my team. So, I think of myself as a leader of this company as opposed to the coach in this company. So today, for example, one presentation, two podcasts, one coaching call so far.
What a day. Well, thank you for taking time out of that busy day to be with us and to share your journey with us. A couple questions come to mind when you mentioned the difference between creating a business versus being a coach, being a freelancer. And I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs at some point need to face as a decision point. Do you want to have the kind of business where you can step out of your business completely if you want to? Or do you really enjoy the service that you're providing or the thing you're manufacturing? Or, maybe you're an artisan and you really want to stay involved with the craft or working one-on-one with customers. And so really you can be kind of a freelancer, solo practitioner, somebody who's maybe a coach and stay in it, or you can take the other path, which is what it sounds like you're doing, which is building a business that operates as this machine that you can kind of step out of and look at the big picture, or you can step into it, but you're really creating something that really can run on its own if you were to take a break or go away for a month, or maybe focus on a different business venture and start something else. And I think that's really interesting. For you, was that a conscious decision, or were you always just absolutely one way?
It was definitely a conscious decision. For me, I think of my business as my playground for growth. So this is a place where I get to grow in all the ways. So at the beginning, I was growing as a coach. I was developing my coaching skills. I was getting better and better and better. And then desire to grow changed. And now I want to grow as a leader, as an innovator, as a disruptor, as a person whose plan is to dramatically impact many, 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 many lives, not only the lives of the executives or the senior leaders that we coach, but the lives of many broad and wide. And so when I think that way, I think, well, what's the best way to do that? Well, I'm creating the playground to do that. So when I think about my business, I think, how do I replace myself? And that's the question I have almost every day.
And no one really wants to think of themselves as replaceable, right? Especially in your own business. You're like, this is
Yes.
me, this is my brand, this is what I've created. And so that is difficult, right? Like, well, how do I replace myself? But honestly, we will never be able to take a true vacation if we are irreplaceable in our business
I
and if
don't
nobody
be
can cover for us.
replaceable. Yeah, I want to be replaceable. I look at everything I do and I say, who else could do this? Who else could do this? And I try to find the right balance to replace the right spots.
So
And
that's
I
a
know,
teachable moment for all of
yeah,
us.
for
Who
sure.
else can do this? Who else can do this? And start filling in that chart.
Exactly. And I know when I get the feeling of there's too much on my plate, I'm a little tired, I'm a little stressed. I know it's time to reconfigure what I'm doing and to see what is a better way to do it.
And so for frame of mind coaching, give us an example. It could be an anonymous case study. Let's say someone that came into either you as a coach or under one of your coaches, and something that is just a very typical kind of before of someone coming in who hasn't been coached yet. And then sort of what their big challenge was that you helped them work through, and maybe one or two ways that you helped work through that, just so people can get an idea of what this kind of coaching is, its, effectiveness, its method,
Yeah.
and to see if it's something that they're looking for in their own life.
Sure. So let me just back up for a minute, just to let you know, my focus is on looking at how leaders think and how their thinking impacts their outcomes. So just kind of give you that as a backdrop. But I remember a few years back, I was coaching a gentleman and he said to me, hey, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. I want you to coach him. And here's the thing, though. I really, really want you to take great care of him. I want you to treat him with kid gloves. I'm a very direct coach. I don't wear gloves when I coach. And I found that that was a very strange way to introduce someone. I said, hey, why would you set it up that way? Why would you give me those parameters? And he said, he's a very dear friend of mine. He's in his early 30s and he has stage 4 cancer. I said, okay. I got on the phone with him and he happened to run a financial services company. And so we started talking and I said, listen, I have two questions. I said, first of all, tough question to ask, but how long do you think you have left to live? And he said, I'm not sure. I think I've already outlived the time that I expected to live. I'm on all these experimental drugs. I'm guessing I have a 2-year window. I said, okay, what is it that you want to achieve as a result of coaching? How can I help you? He said, well, what I really, really want from you is I want you to help me increase my productivity. I was a little stunned because if I had 2 years left to live, I'm not sure that I would be focused on my productivity. I said, why is that important to you? He said, well, here's the thing. I run this business. My mother's aging and I want to grow the business and sell it so that I could be sure that I leave her in a good financial position. It's really important to me. So what I want from you is I want you to make sure that I'm maximizing all my time, that I'm focused on my priorities, that I'm not wasting any time and you're holding me accountable. All that sounded awful to me. And so I asked him another question. I said, hold on, what is it that you really, really want? He said, well, what I really, really want is more time. I want to grow my business. I want to sell it so my mother is in a good place, but I want to travel. I want to go to so many places in the world and I want to take my mother on a great vacation. I want to be in a relationship and I want to buy a house. And you know what? I want to run a marathon. I said, let's do that. And I started to work with him and I started to notice he was a perfectionist. He's the guy that got every sale in the door and every project that went out the door. He had to make sure he saw it first to see if all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. And I thought to myself, you can't keep doing this. You're the bottleneck in your own company. You can't keep up this level of performance on a consistent basis and focus on your health at the same time. I said, we should really talk about hiring some people. And he said, I can't afford to hire people. But in my mind, he couldn't afford not to hire people. His life was at stake. And so what I did was I looked at his beliefs about whether or not he had the resources, the funds, whether or not there were people out there who were willing to take on this challenge and how he could do it. He ended up hiring people. He ended up reducing his own personal workload and responsibilities. And in my mind, my job was to reduce his stress so that he could have a better fighting chance. So it's been 6 years. He's still around. He took his mother on 2 great vacations. He sold half of his business. He bought a house. He met someone. He's engaged to be married, looking forward to having children. And not only did he run a marathon, he ran a triathlon. And maybe 2 years ago, he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. That's a good story, I would say.
That's a fabulous story. Wow. I think everyone listening is touched because may we all have kids like that. First of all, I mean, he really wanted to take care of his mom, and that's just so admirable. And what you did for him is just amazing to, reframe his mind. I guess that's why you call it the frame of mind coaching, right? Because
Exactly.
you really reframed not just how he was going to approach that next period of time for himself, but also why, and sort of redid his whole strategy. That's amazing.
Exactly. So very often we think we need something. We think that our goal is X, Y, and Z because that's what we should want. And very often the shoulds that we want aren't really aligned with our core deepest desires. And that's when we feel that internal discomfort, that friction, that exhaustion, right? And that's what I'm interested in.
Amazing. And tell us a little bit about how you help other people reach that decision point where they say, I need help. Because there's a lot of folks, and I mean, even this person that you're talking about, this case study, he didn't come to you. One of your other clients tapped him on the shoulder and said, you really need to talk to Kim. So it's a little bit different than you reaching out. But how do you get people to come to that realization that they can do more with a little help?
That is such a good question. And the truth is that what I find is that people hear me somewhere on a podcast, at a speaking engagement, and something I say resonates. They say, oh my God, that's me. I struggle with that. That's entirely me. And maybe that they feel guilty. It may be that they're exhausted all the time. It may be that they have a constant state of friction with someone important in their lives. It may be that they feel a sense of chronic dissatisfaction, that they're not where they need to be, where they ought to be, where they could be, and that they're always behind the 8 ball. It could be that they're not taking care of themselves, that they're overeating, not sleeping, in a state of stress all the time. It could be that they feel very isolated. Whatever it is, they say, that's me. I don't want to be that anymore. And the other piece of it is they hear someone who understands how to take them from point A to point B. They hear someone who's skilled in the process of coaching and helping someone look at how they think and how their thinking is really impeding their progress, and how their thinking is making their lives much harder than it needs to be. So that part A is, does this resonate? And part B is, does somebody feel like on the other one, on the other side of the podcast, or on the stage, or whatever it is, do they feel that I have the capacity, the capability to bring them to a new place? Am I skilled? And usually the answer to both is yes.
And then how do you keep yourself sane and balanced so that you can help all of your clients either through your own efforts or through the efforts of the coaches that coach in your company?
Yeah.
What do you do as far as great technology you've found, maybe some sort of a hack or a system or technique, maybe some
Yeah.
hires that you did? I mean,
Yeah.
tell us some of your secret sauce for that.
I'll tell you a lot of secret sauce. I'll start with the first one, and it's challenge the rules. And so my whole life, I've been an early riser. I've always gotten up early, and gotten morning times are really prime. But I'm at an age right now where I have perimenopausal symptoms. I have hot flashes at night. I'm not really sleeping very well. So I've decided that it's okay to sleep in a little, and kind of challenging that with no guilt, being okay to change my sleep routine without feeling like I'm missing out on life, or that I'm shortchanging or not performing. That's a very important component. It's just that, if I need a nap, I'll take a nap. Not that I have much time for a nap, but on the weekend, sometimes I do. But the issue is that sometimes we don't allow ourselves to go with the flow of the change that life offers us, right? We resist it. So, number one is I reduce my resistance. Number two, in terms of tactical, practical hacks to keep me in the game, I journal. So journaling is a huge component of what we do for our clients and with our clients. We ask them to journal, and we read and respond to their journals. I journal too. So I get out all the thoughts that are in my head that are causing me to feel distracted, bogged down, stressed, whatever it is. I write it down. And so I clear my mind. Number three, I try to take a walk every day. Number four, in terms of outsourcing, yes, again, I try to replace myself as often as I can. So I have a podcast. We just hired a new podcast producer so that the existing podcast producer could go on and do more things. We're constantly increasing our capacity by bringing in the right people, the right talent, etc. And quite recently, I was feeling my schedule was a little hard to manage. I gave that over to someone else who's now managing my calendar and my schedule, and honestly making sure I have lunch. So all those little things are important. It matters. But I would say the biggest thing is give yourself a break, man. Don't take yourself so seriously. And it's okay to not always be as productive as you need to be. Okay to just kind of go with whatever life throws at you.
Great advice, all of it. And isn't it funny how sometimes we don't give ourselves the same grace that we would give someone else without question? If your best friend or your child or somebody said, I need a little extra sleep in the morning, I didn't sleep well, most of us would say, oh, take that time. Absolutely. You need self-care. You need to take care of yourself. But then at the same time, a lot of entrepreneurs, when it's their own self that needs that extra attention or care, we just kind of put that aside, or we power through it, or we hustle. And a lot of us have that tendency. And that's why it's a constant battle, at least for me, to do what you're saying, which is to say, you know what? I just need a day off. I need to reschedule
Right.
some things, clear my calendar, maybe go take a walk on the beach. I need a moment of reset. And recognizing when you need that, and then actually making the effort to give yourself what you need. It's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, it sounds simplistic,
It's
but it's
really
not.
not easy. And I will tell you something, especially women, they're wired to push through. And it's okay to push through sometimes, but when that's a lifetime affair, it becomes very taxing on the mind, on the body, on the soul, on the spirit. And so it's not a good lifestyle.
So true. So if people want to connect with you or even to get coaching from you or one of your coaches, what would be the best way for people to reach out, connect, follow you, and get involved with you?
So send me an email. My email address is kim@frameofmindcoaching.com. I'm happy to set up some time for a complimentary coaching call. What I will do is I will ask my new scheduler to take care of it for me. Someone will reach out to you and schedule some time in my calendar. That's the best way. But to learn more about us, go to frameofmindcoaching.com. There's a lot of stuff there, blogs, the podcast, testimonials. You'll learn about how we do what we do. Our approach to coaching is very unique. I think you'd be really interested in taking a look, but I invite you to learn more about us.
I have to say, this has been so informative. It's made me take some notes and write down some things that I need to be doing more of. For example, journaling. That's a great one that a lot of people, maybe they'll journal for 5 days in a row because they made a New Year's resolution or it was something they decided made sense to start doing. And then it just kind of drops off. They don't get back to it. But it's like exercising. I mean, you have to build the habit and then you have to keep at it. Otherwise, you won't get the full benefits of something like a meditation or a journaling practice. So thank you for that reminder. Maybe that spoke to someone else who's listening as well. I just wanted to say, Kim, it has been so fantastic speaking with you. I am so excited you were on the podcast today, and I can't wait to connect with you again.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I hope that this is the beginning of a new friendship.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, and if you leave a review on iTunes, I promise I will read every single review. If you know someone who makes a full-time living from part-time work, and maybe this is you, please visit lifestylesolopreneur.com to nominate a guest or to nominate yourself. Because remember this, money doesn't buy happiness. But money in the hands of a happy person, there is no greater tool.
Today's episode was brought to you by the Get Shift Done program. It's a lifestyle-changing online class to help you define your business and lifestyle ambitions and to set goals in a way you've never experienced before. This class will 10x your daily productivity with methods that will blow your mind. And if you use a coupon code podcast, the class tuition is 99% off. Visit GetShiftDone.com to enroll today.